Hello everyone, I am back with another video. Today I am going to be touching on the importance of not FOMOing into things. As the market heats up, we're starting to see pockets of very explosive outperformance against everything else in the market that usually comes from an item that has relatively small or limited supply, and in many cases, artificial demand. In the case of Pokemon cards, we see it through these buyouts, where an individual or a group of individuals will come together, buy out all the supply of a card that has very little total supply, and definitely has enough demand to get people to chase the price as it pushes higher and higher and higher. So the Greninja Gold Star is, I think, one of the best examples I've ever seen of this. For a long time, this card was not going for much, especially an ungraded, $5 card for a very long time. Extremely plentiful and easy to get your hands on. However, when it came to grading, it was a very tough card to grade in a PSA 10. So can see here that there were a total roughly of 16,000, maybe a little bit more, 16,000 of these graded. And in a PSA 10, you have 1,918 of them. So that's, for PSA 10, like a little bit over 10%. So like 1 in 10 of these is going to grade a PSA 10. So it's extremely small population for the PSA 10s. I would say too, in the future, like if there's a card like this that you really like, don't even think about trying to grade them. Just buy the PSA 10 when it's at a reasonable price. These at the beginning of the year were going for like $100 in a PSA 10. And then they pushed up to about $300 within a couple of months. That felt pretty reasonable. It was still explosive growth, like 100 to 300 is a big move. And you can see the average sale price of a PSA 10 is $262. They were selling for $100 for a long time, started selling for $300 for a while, and now these recent sales have gotten ridiculous. So if we take a look here, this is a PSA 9. So the PSA 10 copy of this, lowest current PSA 10 copy of this is $640. The recent sales, $640. And you can see now too how many of them are lined up 600, 700, 750, 690, 640, and it keeps going lower and lower and lower, right? And I think this will keep going lower and lower and lower for a while, because what happened, if we take a look at ended recently, this is lowest. Let's go ended recently in a PSA 10. Let's go back a few days here and start to get a picture for what happened, and why it's just so important not to chase these, prices ever, when something like this happens. So let's see, where do we get the crazy prices? It's been a few days since things really took off here. And you can see so many sales. Okay, so now we're back to May. Yeah, so the actual sale price, of $300 makes a lot of sense. It's a great card, very tough to grade. Yeah, beautiful card. And so it could have just focused on buying a PSA 10 for $300. Plenty other places to allocate money to, that are going to do well over time. And then very recently, because of the kind of forced pressure that was put on this card, started to get up to 400, and then very quickly jumped from, okay, so here are a few sales, 400 up to 1400, right? So last sale was 370. Maybe supply dries out June 23rd. June 27th, we have a sale for 1400. June 27th, sale for 1400. Another sale for 1400. Sale for 1000. Then these went for a best offer, another best offer, 950, you know, and then starts to come down 800, 750, 850, 700, 800, 800. And so prices start to come down 650. And now we're finding price trading around 650. And again, as more people, so what happens? Nobody's willing to sell when it hits these crazy high prices, and you have very few buyers, right? However, sorry to these few buyers that ended up purchasing this card at, 1,400. You could buy 2 copies for 1,400 right now, and I would not suggest buying a single copy of this card for the current price that it's going for. This is 100% hype driven, has nothing to do with how much true demand there is for this card. It's a great card. Greninja's fan favorite Pokemon, definitely, but this is 100% hype driven. The fair value of this card, as you can see, before all of this happened, was trading around 300. Maybe comes down closer to around 400 to 450. So maybe it can be up a little bit from that $300 price, but chasing something when it's moving up, when you have very few people willing to sell, is just a recipe to get wrecked. And it doesn't matter what the thing is. It's Pokemon cards, the same for crypto, for stocks, for anything. Don't buy as the price keeps pushing higher and higher and higher. If you want to buy the thing, if you really want to buy the thing, a week later is a good time to buy it. If it's a good time to buy it today, it'll be a good time to buy it a week from now, right? Like, that's kind of the idea. If you're looking for building, value over time, if you're looking to quick scalp things, it's very different. But if you're looking to build value over time in a portfolio, you want to be looking at finding fair or even undervalued items that might take a while to reach fair value or push higher and become potentially overvalued, which is the time that you could sell into that kind of price action. But here, chasing something like this, again, is just a recipe for getting wrecked. So even these buyers at 800, if you're seeing the card going for 1,400, you start buying at 800. Maybe you feel like, oh, I'm getting a good deal, and then people start listing for 650 because for them, maybe some of these people bought this card for $100. So getting a sale at 650 is amazing, right? So yeah, it's just very important when we're, trying to build a valuable portfolio of assets over time. Extremely important not to FOMO into anything, really. This is a great example of what FOMO can do to price and get things to be completely irrational. And unfortunately for those buyers, there's really no way out of that. Most people are going to be paying tax on that as well, so you're paying 10% on top of that. This is something you really have to think about too for these Pokemon cards or anything you're buying or selling on eBay. And there are ways around that. You can go to card shows, you can do a bunch of different things. But if you just want to buy and sell on eBay and keep it simple and be protected as a buyer and as a seller, eBay is a great place to do that. And so if you're a buyer on eBay, you're probably going to pay taxes, often about 10% of the purchase price. So if you're paying $1,400 for a card, add another $140 on top of that. So you're paying $1,550, $1,540 for a card, right? And then if you sell that same card, let's say you can get the exact same price. Let's say you sell it for $1,400. eBay's going to take 15%. So you're paying 10% to get the card, and you're paying 15% to sell the card. And so 15% off of $1,400, you're losing a little over $200 on that. So at best, you're selling it for $1,200, and you're buying it for $1,550. So you're going to lose $350, even if you just buy and sell it at the exact same price. So if we want to win, if we want our money to do well for us in Pokemon, I know we love Pokemon, many of us. We love it as a hobby. We don't really care too much about prices. We just want to collect. We want to build, a portfolio of cards and sealed product that does well for us over time, but we really just want to enjoy collecting it. Completely understand that. but you also don't want to just chase things. And if you like this card, you would have loved this card at $100. You don't need to be chasing it at $1,400. There are always better places to put $1,400 than into something that's going to correct minus 50% in a matter of a week. It probably keeps going lower because you have a lot of people that bought so high at this point that unless they truly love the card, they're going to want to sell it. If they truly love the card and they're okay holding $800 of value in this one card, perfectly fine. If they don't, then they're going to be probably trying to move that card pretty quickly. And so, we could see more and more listings show up at or below this price. So this is something really important, In the meantime, like on the other side of this, so this is FOMO. This is our greed taking over us, right? The thing that says, oh, the number is going to keep going up. It has to keep going up, so I have to buy. It's a dangerous frame of mind to let get a hold of you. Should not let it happen. On the other side of this, we want to look for where there's extreme value, right? We want to find things that are very liquid. That's the other thing. This is a pretty illiquid item. There's only 2,000 of them that exist. There's only been 34,000 total, dollars moved through this card. Maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe this doesn't give you the exact amount, but not a crazy amount. So pretty illiquid item to hold. Tough to value something this illiquid. If you ever watch or try to sell highly priced items that don't have that many in existence, you would know it's very tough to just get the price that you want. You have to come to some agreement with some buyer at some point. Okay, so on the other side of that, we want to find something liquid that is not FOMO being pushed higher, but is instead fearfully being pushed lower, right? And so I've talked about this item. I love this item. I'm buying a lot of this item at the moment. But if we go to Prismatic Evolutions, Pokemon Center, ETB, and we go to look at a couple of places. We'll go here, and then we'll go to eBay and take a look at sales on eBay. So these, when they first came out the gate, were selling for $400. They're now selling for about $215. You can find them for $215 on eBay, and lowest one here with 3 items available, selling for $217 on TCG Player. So that's very good. And to me, okay, so within the past 7, call it, 10 days, we've seen close to 200 of these sell. There's a total of, I don't know, probably tough to know exactly how many of these have been printed and distributed, but probably in the hundreds of thousands. I have no idea. It's very tough to know those numbers, but very different than 2,000 total PSA 10 copies of a card. This is a much more widely distributed product. There's going to be a ton of these. It's going to be a much more liquid item if you want to be able to sell it at a certain price, right? You're not going to be able to get these very quick pushes higher. It's just going to be a gradual decline or a gradual rise higher because there's so many of them in existence at this point in time. But from their high, they're down nearly 50%. So this is starting to become, what I would say fair value, if not undervalued. So if we go to eBay and we look for Prismatic Evolutions Pokemon Center ETBs, and we look at newly listed, buy now, a lot of them, this for $420, so you can buy them for $210 a piece, roughly, $220, $210, $215, right around there, all over, tons of listings on eBay, extremely available product, This, to me, this is the time to be a buyer. And we can see on recent sales how many of these are moving. It's just constant sales, all in these prices. This is all July 2nd. This is all today. Constant sales in and around these prices. Great deal on that one. Breaking sub below, 200 a little bit. That one is incredible sale, incredible value. 210, 215. So all roughly around the same price. And this is still July 1st. This is only yesterday, and I keep scrolling. So you can see how many of these are moving, how liquid this item is, and how much it is off its highs. So you have this huge flood of supply because of the restock. You have people that were able to get these for 60 a piece, selling them for 200 is great profit for them. You have a ton of people that want to do that, which is great. And you have a lot of people that are looking at this as a buying opportunity and stacking during this time, which is also, great to see if you're bullish on this item long term. So that's kind of the two sides of the coin, right? Like people think these will just keep going lower. So they don't want to step in and be a buyer. On the other side of the coin, we have people continuously buying this up as prices double, triple, quadruple in value in a matter of a week, and then end up being down 50% a week later, right? For these, it took it, a few months from the peak hype in December. Okay, so 6 months. 6 months to go from 400 down to 200. This is where you want to be buying, A great item, great long term, down 50%, no hype around it, a bunch of fear, a bunch of people thinking it's going lower, it's going to MSRP, blah, 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 all this, right? These are the kind of items for if we're looking for value that we want to be picking up. And these are the kind of items that if we're looking for value, we want to stay away from, because this is just FOMO. This is just people fear of missing out. I missed it. Yeah, you missed it. If you didn't have this at $100 or $300 and you weren't able to sell it on this run up, you missed it. Wait, if you want to buy this card, give it time. It will settle. There will be more copies of this. I guarantee you that there are people with sealed copies of this that are sending these off to be graded right now because, oh my gosh, I have this. I have 10 of these and I bought them for $5 a piece and I sent all of them off for grading. So you'll see significantly more than 2,000 of these in a matter of 6 months. It takes time for PSA to grade cards and get them back to people. So, just something to think about. Again, on the other side, people are going to constantly be ripping these. The cheaper these get, the more it will make sense to some people to rip these open. I think that's a bad idea financially. If you're trying to chase cards or whatever, go for it. But if, you're buying this to store some value in it, I think, hold it. Hold it sealed. This is going to be one of the best sealed product investments from this era. I firmly believe that. Regardless of anything you see out there, I think whatever is happening with the amount of supply available is a gift. And the difference between 200, 220 doesn't really matter that much. Of course, you want to try to get the best deal that you can, spread your money the furthest. But I think that's about it for today. All right, I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Really want to grow this channel. Do my best to get a video out every single day. Some days I'll miss, but I'll do my best whenever there's something interesting going on in the market. Okay, appreciate it. Till the next time. Peace.